The evidence of this circulated through the colonial hygiene manuals recorded in India. So the authors of this manuals are medical personnel, sanitary engineers, and home scientists. Okay? Technically, wala tayong makita na architects or master builders. Okay? So the need for it in terms of architecture was not really needed. Hindi siya makita before. Ang kanila is actually ang mas pinaka main point nila is why they apply or they consider the tropical architecture because of hygiene and for the survival of uh, the novice European in the tropics. Because this was when the colonial times happened in India, in Philippines as well. So, nung nag-colonize sila, yung body, kumbaga the physiological being of this European are not adapt to the tropical climatic conditions. So, they have built this manual in such a way na parang pag pumunta kayo dito sa tropical countries, these are the things you should know. So, it's not just about architecture. So, lahat siya hygiene and so on para lang makasurvive when you travel. Okay? Right. So, yeah, we're on the same page. I'm showing a picture, okay, of a European nakahiga sa isang airy charpoy. Charpoy is a bed. Sa atin dito, it's like a duyan or a bed na naka-weave lang. It's very airy because naka-net-like lang yan yung ilalim. So, mahangin. I'm losing you guys. Okay? You're still there? Tapos, before, as they are not really that adapt to the tropical setting, they are even pag mainit na dito sa tropics, dyan sila nagpapahinga. They are being served by Indian servants. Nag-airgas isang air charpoy, tapos nasa ilalim ng isang pungka. Pungka are, in short, malalaking paypay. If you can see my cursor. Can you see my cursor? Hindi. Ito parang may curtain. May panel. Actually, that moves. May pivot yan siya. Ay hinihila nung guy sa may likod. As you can see. Actually, that would create a paypay. May motion siya. Tapos, nagapaypay siya doon sa European. That's how hot and kumbaga part of their adaptive design. But this one is more an active design. Para lang makasurvive sa init ng tropics. Ayan. Okay. Aside from that, they have also elevated their houses. Yan. Tapos meron siyang through and through dun sa bottom floor. And then they also have airways for ventilation and air circulation. That's part of their, kumbaga, basic na design, parang minimum design standards, para sa pag mag-build sila ng structure sa tropical countries. Hindi kasi sa Pilipinas, in the tropical country. Yan. Why? Kasi sa init, kailangan mag-circulate yung hot air sa loob. Second thing, bakit naka-raised yung flooring? Because we are in a tropical country. In short, yung rainfall natin, sa tayong may pinakamaraming rainfall. Okay? Thus, pag may rainfall, nagabaha and so on. So, in terms of hygiene, tapos syempre kung binabaha always, yung lagnat and so on. So, kaya they have made their design standards na kailangan iakyat yung floor. Yan. As you can see also, a design with a tropical architecture offering vistas for tropical perfection and sanitary perfection. How? First is raised flooring para hindi ka bahain. So malinis parate yung yung living space mo. And as you can see, large opening windows for better air circulation and allow light. Ano yun?
Excuse me po, sir. Sir,
Masyadong mabilis.
PDF, sir, kay hindi po makita, sir.
Ay, hindi makita yung PDF?
Yes po, sir.
Oh. Teka ha. Bakit?
Probably ang fun, sir. Nag-load yapon siya, sir. Yeah. Okay.
Black lang ang shared screen. Uy.
Yeah.
Yan. Better?
Nakita na, sir.
Okay. Right. Yan. So, balik ako ulit. Yan. Alright. Yeah. So, they're offering large windows para mas makapasok yung light and would sanitize their moist wood flooring. Kasi later on, mag-build up yung molds and so on. Kasi before, syempre, grabe pa yung ka-tropic. Grabe pa ang moisture and so on. So, ito yung pinaka-ways nila to adapt. Okay? Technically, from the viewpoint of the sanitarian, the climate of a place may be defined as the sum of the local atmospheric and physical conditions, including the relationship to animals and vegetable life. So, ito yung tinitignan nila talaga. Okay? Yan. So, technically, tropical architecture is just a subset of hygiene, the principles of hygiene as well. Kasi iniwasan din nila before yung tropical diseases like yung mga insects, malaria. I suppose you have known this from history, right? Yan. Even before, in terms of sanitation, kailangan din kasi nila in terms of sanitation sa tropical countries, wala sila a sense of privy. Yun yung, alam niyo yung privy. Later on, in your ARC 117, I think you're taking your ARC 117 now. It's kumbaga, sinaunang toilet. That's when our Spanish colonizers have introduced us to this kind of sanitary practice. Okay, so part yun siya ng development ng architecture natin. How it has influenced us. Bakit buo yung, sa example, bahay na to, bakit wood yung sa taas, bakit bato yung sa baba. Actually, yung bato sa baba is more to address the seismic na movement. Because we're in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Okay, yan. So, an example of this Indian manual hygiene. So, kailangan daw, pag magtayo kasi isang tropical areas, kailangan yung site is dry and not malarious. So, hindi maraming stagnant water or maraming alamok. May proper supply ng tubig. Tapos, madali lang i-dispose yung water. Okay? May magandang madali lang i-dispose yung water. May system of ventilation para enhance the respiratory impurities. Okay? In the condition of how siya yan kasi wala masyadong konkreto noon. So this one have been developed so on and so forth by satire engineers to modern architects towards the end of the World War. Okay, imagine from 1950s to the concept when it emerged na, yes, it's hygiene, pero technically, ano pala siya, parang it's also an architecture that we should address when we're in the tropics. So, nagsugod na sila. Imagine, it has been 7 decades here for us in a tropical country. Pero ang nangyari, wala gyapon pa well adapt to it. Instead of kaniya itong gisundan na gibuhat sa European colonizers na mag-design of houses na kanang akma for the tropics, we're being influenced by some other architecture na na-disregard na ito yung tropical architecture. Yan. Okay, tapos ito yung mga developments. I will not, dyan, focus more. So that's it. That's for the history and introduction for the architecture. Now let's go with climates for a while. Yeah, stop yung stream ko. Guys, you still with me? Important lang for that part is it's really hygiene. In short, tropical architecture is the function. Tapos, when you have that function, if that function is really there, makita mo din kasi na, ma-appreciate mo din later yung beauty. Because you could use the structure very well. So beyond aesthetics, it's the function, appreciation of the function. Aanhin mo yung ang ganda-ganda ng bahay, appreciate mo yung 3D exterior perspective niya. Okay? But when you enter the building or the house or whatever structure it is, it's not habitable. Kasi mainit, maalingasang, okay? It's very dim, hindi safety, and so on. Okay? So that's the point. So, let me go with my... Makita niyo na yung share screen kong bago? Guys? Okay. So,
Yes, sir.
kasalanan natin to, it's world climates. Okay? So, murag secondary level science. We have 5 climates around the world, across the world. You have the Arctic. Usually, ito yung mga sa north and south pole. Then we have the cool temperate. The warm temperate, ito yung mga medyo nasa mga between the extreme latitude, tinataas, and the equatorial parts, in which yun yung mga gusto natin kasi pag nabilad sa araw, hindi mangingitim. And maka-OOTD dito for tawag na ito, Korean na mga fur or maka-bikini tanga di kita mangitom. Yun yung mga areas na yan. And then we have the tropical, in which we are experiencing right now, and the equatorial areas where nag-chat dito sa tunga sa equator. Okay? Yan. So Arctic, characterized by long cold winters and short summers. So if the picture suggests ano yung setting for these Arctic areas. Medyo mahirap yung, kumbaga, for it to be a habitable place. For us humans to adapt to it as a habitable place. Less flora, malamig, source of energy and food. Now we go for the cool temperate. The example would be parts of Canada, New Zealand, and North America. Okay? Medyo marami-rami yung precipitation at this area season. Tapos, hindi ganun siya masyado ka drastic yung change ng weather. And then, fewer hot seasons and more of cold seasons. Okay? Let's not concern masyado with that one. Next is the warm temperate. Okay? Same pa rin. They're not really, kumbaga, yung exchange ng weather is not that much. Pero this one is more of, nasa favor siya ng medyo hot, pero not extremely hot. Compared dun sa cool temperate. Okay? Ito yung mga Mediterranean countries in which yung mga Latina na you can just ramp up those swimming suits, di ba? And they have the best summer. Kasi, trick yung sun pero lamig ng hangin. Ganun. Okay? And then, charan, the tropical and the subtropical regions. Okay? Ito yung region saan tayo where between the 23.5 latitude the Tropic of Cancer, and the temperate latitude, okay? Yung sa Tropic of Capricorn. Alright?
Badyang,
And this one, yes?
nagkukay badyang, sir.
Dako ba dyan? Pangita ko na ito na bison. Okay? Next is the equatorial part. The mid part, okay? In short, this is the tropical rainforest climate. Actually, andito talaga yung tropical climate, rainforest. Okay? Pero, hindi lang necessary na yung tropical climate is found just on the equator. Naabot na dito sa tropics. Okay? And so with that, there are this latitude parts. You divide sila into three basic climate groups. Why? Because it's not just the latitude that affect the climate, but also the flora, the fauna, the topography, okay, the water bodies around you, ganon. So, nag-vary siya. First is the low latitude climate. So, take note of this because Philippines is in a low latitude climate. Okay? And we are in, the low latitude climate have three categories. You have the tropical moist climate, the wet dry tropical climates, and the dry tropical climates. Okay? So, tayo sa Pilipinas, we're in the rainforest, the tropical moist climate. Okay? Now, along with this, within the low latitude climates, we also have the savanna, yung nasa African areas, and the desert biome, yung mga disyerto, nasa low latitude din. But, and as a low latitude area, na biyayaan tayo na we're not on the droughted areas. We have plenty of water. We have plenty of fauna and fauna as a source of food. Yeah. So, yeah. What I want you to highlight in this one is, makita nyo mas highlight ko, no? First is, there are two seasons. There's dry and wet season. Okay? And it has a humidity level of 77 to 88% pag sinabi mong tropical rainforest. Okay? Humidity, okay, I'll explain that later. Also, it has a high surface heat and humidity. Kita niyo? Highlight ko. Ay. Yan. Bakit high surface heat? Kasi tutok yung araw. Surface heat lang naman. In short, in terms of radiation from the sun, yung mga kahit anong meron tayo, the roads, the buildings, the trees are really hot. Depende lang sa material if they're really absorbing the radiation from the sun. Okay? Then, sa dalit yung iba, we have the wet, dry, tropical climates, the savanna. Ito yung mga, in short, yung sunset up ng Lion King. Pag umulan, medyo may mapuno na mga water, yung mga, ito, yung may mga butas. Yan. And then, also the dry tropical climate, it's the desert. Yan. Kahit nasa low latitude tayo, very opposite, we have very low precipitation, annual precipitation compared to those for us that are tropics. Okay? So technically, if they adjust their climate as well, okay, if they have the tropical design, they have the dry tropical design, they would address it that way as well. Yeah. And then we have the mid-latitude climates. Yan. 140 na. Let's pasada this one. Yan. And the high latitude climate. Okay? So, important is the mid-latitude and we are in the tropical moist climates. Okay? So, I'll proceed to the next one. Move my screen share. Nakita niyo ang screen share ko? Can you still see the screen share? Guys? Butas mo pa. Okay? So, I hope we're on the same page na lahat. Given that, those climates, okay, pero in general pa rin ito ha, how do we consider ano yung elements and factors that affects climate? Okay? So, first, we need to determine ano yung elements of climate that we need to consider in design. Okay? So, these are the 5 elements of climate that we need to consider. Simple lang na tropical design. Okay? We need to consider the dry bulb temperature na nakainit tayo sa Pilipinas. We also have the relative humidity, the precipitation or the rainfall, the amount of rainfall that we have, the sky, and the wind. Okay? Yeah. Pag sinabi yung dry bulb temperature, it's the temperature of air measured by a thermometer freely exposed to the air. In short, kung makita mo yung images dyan, yung ganyan. Yung mga free lang na ginabutang sa mga, before I mostly see this in clinics, school clinic, in hospital, may ganito talagang thermometer. Diba? No, depende sa how we use our body or we have different dry bulb temperature where our kumbaga thermal comfort is. Okay? So, tayo sa Pilipinas, we have 24 to 22 22 to 24 dry bulb temperature na comfort level. If we go down, malamig na. Okay? Or if we have a function, if we have a tawag nito, activity, hindi mo na siya masyadong ma-perform ng maayos. Because your body, kumbaga, di ba, nag-warm up ka? Your body cannot warm up well. You know? Next is the relative humidity. It's the amount of water vapor present in the air expressed at a percentage of amount needed for saturation at the same time. So it's, in short, it's the water content of the air at that certain temperature. Okay? Now, balikan natin yung dalawa. Now, ang temperature, okay na kung baba. Okay? Kasi malamig. Okay? Kumbaga, if you have the box, kumbaga, good scenario is it's cold and dry. Our aircon, okay, is a cold and dry scenario. Malamig yung air temperature, yung temperature niya, and the air is dry. That's a good scenario. Okay? The next scenario is malamig yung hangin, mataas yung relative humidity. Okay? Supposedly, that's the common thing for us dito sa topics. That's why madali mag-fog. If you ever been to Bukidnon, Marilog, Baguio, Pag-District, Baguio. Okay? Yan. So, good kasi malamig despite na mataas yung relative humidity. The next thing is, mababa yung temperature, mataas yung temperature so mainit, but the humidity is low. Okay lang. Why? Mainit. So, ano yung respond ng body natin pag mainit? We perspire. That, pag pinagpapawisan tayo, okay, it's a way our body to cool off, dapat reinforce siya with air cooling. Mainit yung hangin, mainit yung temperature, pero dry siya. Thus, your body will continue to sweat and cool you off. Okay? The bad part is, mainit yung temperature and mataas yung relative humidity. Okay? Remember, yung feeling na alimuot, maalangasan. Kanang feeling, init. Kaya actually, init siya tapos uncomfortable ka. Tapos parang murag lang, kanang imong singot yung medyo mantikaon, nga niya, di siya mag-dry. Okay? Yan. So that's when your, kumbaga, the comfort has become discomfort. That's the scenario of the discomfort now. Yan yung iniiwasan natin. Okay? Yan yung iniiwasan natin. So, that's, later we'll address at how to, kumbaga, manipulate them to suit our comfort. Okay? Now, precipitation. So, precipitation in meteorology is any product of condensation of atmospheric water vapors that falls under gravity. So, it includes rain, snow, hail. So, that's precipitation. Now, for us here in the rain tropics, I've mentioned kanina, grabe atong precipitation level here in the Philippines. So, part sa atong tropical design in terms of precipitation is to address the rainfall. How do we address rainfall? By providing flat roof. Di ba, dagdag ng flat roof sa tuwa, sunog-sunog sa gawas. Okay? Which is, hindi pwede. Kasi yung load niya diretso. So, dapat, naka-stick gyapon na roof. Plus the wind load. Ganun yun siya. Okay? Ano pa? We are all, kumbaga, fixated that we should have a gutter in our roof. Example, anong effect ng may gutter ka sa roof? Yung surface runoff, lahat ng tubig, parang instead of slowly siya mag-percolate, mag-isa, tapos pag runoff, balik dun sa sea, marami siya ginatigaw, tapos boom! Ganon. So, to have it as a tropical design, we need also to consider the precipitation level. Okay? Now, sky. It's the sky, or in short, the solar radiation. Now, in our setting, if you're in the tropics, you have a high humidity and high surface temperature. Thus, nag-promote siya na mag-accumulate of clouds. Okay? So, despite nga in short, bantang ta or kaning exposed ta sa solar radiation, somewhat sky or the clouds are giving us comfort as well. Di ba lamig na pag-ahapon nga nagana kay panganod? Bisag alas 4 pa pero dagat panganod din. Ay, haya ni oy. Or bisag noon. But the sky is cloudy. Right? Yan. Example. Last is the wind. Now, wind is one of the things that we are really trying to harness. Why? Because in the tropics, ano yung pinaka-main concern sa tropical design? Actually, it's comfort. Ano yung main issue ng tropics? Thermal comfort kasi init sa tropics. So, in terms of wind, okay, yun yung ginamind na to na kung paano ma-harness din nato ang wind to our own benefit. That's why we need to assess the direction, the frequency, the force of wind throughout the year. Okay, so that we could use that data into our design. Okay? Yeah. Now, we go to the factors also affecting climate. Bakit masabi na ganito yung climate natin? Guys, am I too fast? Masyado na ba akong dire-diretso? Okay lang? Okay? Okay. So, yan. Factors affecting climate. So, same idea. First is the altitude. So, factors affecting climate, pag nagataas yung altitude, nagababa yung temperature. Balikan natin again yung Baguio, itong Bukidnon, Marilog, bugnaw sila dito, dali mag fog, because of the temperature plus the humidity level. Okay? Pero kato siya nabugnaw, as they say, even those mga taga-dito jud, they say na nakakaitim yung lamig doon. Why? It's cold, so you don't feel the solar radiation in your skin. Pero the UV rays is going through your skin. So na-activate niya yung melanin sa skin mo, so nangingitim ka. Kaya pati nga bugnaw mo na dito pero mga itom sila dito. Okay? Yan. Next is the latitude. Now, in general pa rin to ha. So, the farther we go to north and south, okay, the exposure to sun becomes less. Okay? And the farther we go to equator, the more we are exposed to solar radiation. So, that affects the climate. Okay? Kasi, bakit nag-affect yan sa climate? Now, as the sun hits the surface, okay, it tends to affect the movement of the air. Kasi it affects also the temperature of the air. So, di ba, class, yung mainit na hangin, malamig na hangin, okay, they tend to move up and down. Hot air rises up, cool air goes down. So, they interchange places. Thus, that creates the wind. Okay? I suppose that's basic science sa inyo. Okay? Yeah. Next is the topography. Now, the topography example or mountain ranges affect our climate greatly. Diba, Himalayan mountain range, nagtabang yun siya sa tuwan na would stop mga storms and so on. So, nag-affect siya. Okay? But if your topography is on a hill, medyo pababa, medyo may lake at your areas and so on. Even, I would like to highlight a rain shadow. Okay? So, an example of how it affects topography. First, I hope you will remember this one soon. What if may magpapadesign sa inyo? Okay? And then it is located, yung lupa niya is the hill. Okay? The whole hill. Where will you locate the house or the mansion? Isang buong hilahi. Okay? Saan mo i-locate yung bahay? Saan niyo i-locate yung bahay? Basic design principles. Okay? First is you don't put the building on top of the hill. You will affect the contour, the rainfall, the surge ng water pag nanun ka sa top ng hill. So usually, nilalagay mo siya at the lower third of the hill. Conserve the view of the hill and give highlight to your house as well. Okay? And yes, you are kiluwa, tapos ang laki-laki nung bahay ninyo, tapos ang layo-layo ng mansion ninyo. Okay? Yan. So, with that, syempre, it's a hill and you're on a side, you will experience what we call rain shadow. That is possible. Okay? So, that rain shadow, pag nangyari na, yung rain is not vertical na, okay? It is being affected by wind. So if ever pababa and then nagkataon na the wind is right from behind the hill, you will not experience the rain. Ganun. So that's how topography affects climate. Next is the oceans and large lakes. Are we on the same page? We are on the oceans and large lakes. Okay? Check natin muna yung chat group. I have unread. That's Sir, presented ko. Uy, John Paul, may makita na? Okay na to. Hello, wala good ko nag-record, Farah. How do we do this? How do I record? Ngayon, black screen kasi naglipat pa ako. Hopefully, guys, I have sent the PowerPoints ahead of time para if ever kaya nyong mag-multitask, you could follow me through the PowerPoint I have gave you. Tapos hindi kayo mag-rely lang sa shared screen. Okay? Yan. Nag-block muna siya ngayon kasi I have moved out of the shared screen. Now, is the shared screen okay? Okay na yung shared screen? Okay na yung shared screen, guys. Hopefully, someone could, do you have class after this?
Yes, sir.
What time? So, konti lang naman. Ano yun?
2:30, sir.
2:30. I'll just extend a few minutes. Shopee hapon. Yeah. Okay, let's go back. Guys, for those who have problems with connection, try to have the audio lang and then keep up with the advanced PowerPoint presentation I have sent you. Okay, if kakaya ha. So let's go back so we can finish this one. You have oceans and large lakes also that affect climate. Okay, so oceans, seas, these bodies of water act as air conditioners. Okay, it's here to cool off the air, and at the same time, give the air, if it's too dry, a better humidity. Yeah. So that yun yung pinaka-importance niya. And next also is the earth winds. So this one, as you can see, yung mga amihan, habagat, it's the earth winds that affects the tropical, especially us here in Philippines. Yun yung pinaka-importante sa atin dito. So that's what affects the climate. Okay? And so in terms of tropical design, it's concerned with countries where discomfort due to heat and humidity are the dominant problems. Yeah, so tropical design are applicable in tropical and subtropical climates, equatorial climates covering Southeast Asian countries. Yeah. So, main focus natin is the heat. How do we address the heat later? Okay. You have another conditions that dito naman is the whole climate, di ba? Let's shrink down, guys. Shrink down. Let's shrink down, going to topography, to site climate. Ano naman yung mga factors that affects the site climate? Okay? So, first is topography. Yung example ko pa rin kanina, it's the slope, the orientation, the exposure, the elevations, the hills, the valley, or near that site. Ganun. Now, okay? So in terms of topography, during the day, temperature is higher near the ground than higher levels. Now, at night na po, baliktad, radiation, the surface radiates to the sky, the near ground temperature drops and inversion will occur. So, pag malapit ka sa ground, ito mainit. Pag gabi na po, ikaw po itong pinakabugnaw po. Okay? Yan. So, such cooling can be pronounced on hills and mountains. So, this cool air will behave as water. So, flow downhill, collect in a valley, and constitute a katabatic wind. So, as you can see in the image, iba bugnaw, tapos bugnaw ang hangin pagkagabi. So, nasa flow sa downhill. Now, this one, aside from the habagat and amahan, this katabatic wind, pwede nyo siya i-utilize if you're designing in a valley-ish setting. Okay? Right. So, pag ganito yung area, na siya ay tendency na follow through sa contour sa lupa. Kasi mas malamig ito. Okay? Now, pag baliktad naman, it's the anabatic wind kapag paakyat din siya. But still, it follows through the valley. So either way, pag mas mainit, mas malamig, mas mainit yung tubig, yung lupa kaysa sa tubig, same principle why there's a land breeze and sea breeze. Okay? The katabatic and anabatic wind, nag-follow lang siya sa contour. The basic principle is, why do you have sea breeze? So yung galing sa sea during daytime because mas mainit yung lupa kaysa bodies of water. This is basic science, diba? Tapos, pag mainit yung lupa, so it also heats up the air. Okay? On top of it. So, it rises up. So, when it rises up, there's a vacuum, papalit yung malamig na hangin from the sea. That's why it's a sea breeze. And then, the opposite, that's a land breeze. Okay? Yan. So, these are the ingredients. Yan. In terms of rainfall, ito yan. This is what I call the rain shadow. Okay? Ito yung wet slope. Dito lang yung warm air rising. So, andito lang yung ulan. So, that's how topography affects it. Pag nagkataon na andito yung convergence na, your topography will help na hindi mapunta sa yung ulan. Okay? Guys, are we on the same page in terms of parang nag-load ako ang stream, nag-load siya sa kuha. Uy, mayos ka. Are we on the same page? Yeah. Okay pa ang stream? Now sa rainfall and hills. Okay. So, I'll go with the next slide. I go for the coastal winds. Okay. Yan pa rin. So, this is the land breeze and sea breeze. So, hot, yung lupa during the day. So, akyat. So, meron tayong sea breeze. Kabaliktad naman, pag during night, malamig yung lupa, mas mainit yung bodies of water. So, the warm, baliktad yung circulation. Okay. So, next factor that affects the site climate is the ground surface. May it be natural or man-made. Okay. Its reflectance, often referred as albedo. Okay. Permeability, the soil temperature, if it's a paved area or vegetation now, that affects the site climate. Okay? Kung medyo rocky yung area, compared doon sa tawag nito, lumampas. Wala kayo.
More.
Am I back? Okay. So, natural or man-made, yan, yung surfaces natin, mga reflection niya and so on, now affects the site climate. Especially that most of our projects or our architecture projects are built on in mas nasa urban area, di ba? Urban area. Kasi we have this urban heat island effect. Okay? It is when the air mass over cities is likely to be warmer than in the surrounding countryside. So, in short, mas mainit naman talaga, 'di ba, yung hangin dito sa downtown area kumpara doon sa suburbs, right? Imagine yung init ng hangin sa San Pedro Street ng Davao compared sa Mintal. It's true. So there's really the urban heat island effect. Okay? So this effect is mostly pronounced when there's little or no wind, especially after sunset. Yeah. So the causes of this urban heat island effect is a more absorbent surface. Di ba that prone ta to radiation sa sun? High heat surface ta. So ang nakadungog pag is more absorbent surfaces. More naga-absorb og init. Instead gina-reflect niya, gina-dissipate niya, gina-absorb niya yung init. Okay? Tapos yung radiation pa talaga is being lost because of not being hindi siya na lost, hindi siya na reflect. I mean, so because of pollution, natatrap siya. Dagdagan mo pa ng energy seepage. Meaning napatay init galing from buildings, cooling towers, vehicles, even us humans contribute to it. Kumbaga yung pagbagsa natin, yung pagtagsa natin sa area, nadagang kita mo init, kaya ratong ikaw ra sa room o 30 mo kubok sa room with the same ventilation. So, make it that a larger context, that's it. Okay? Yan. Now, in the urban heat island effect, kasi mainit, mas ulan po ng area. Kasi the warm air rises. So, mas prone din ka sa baha. Okay? So, that's how it affects us. Next is the 3D objects. Okay, may it be a monumental rock, trees, tree belts, fences, walls, buildings, as they may influence the wind, yung shadow casting, okay? Tapos, it may subdivide the area into smaller distinguishable climate zones. Example, okay? Ikaw, may nakita ko sa Facebook yung nasa urban area ka. Tapos, okay lang naka dito sa mga medyo middle class. Naka sa arang-arang na tenements, wala ka dito sa squatters area. Okay? Tapos, or illegal settlers area. Now, you are being shaded by the sun. Okay? Okay yun. During afternoon. Now, during mornings. What if, di ba, imagine in your class a wall or a building. Paghapon, it's on the left side. You're on the right side, ha? So, okay yun. Kasi it gives you shadow. Hindi ka naiinitan. It protects you from solar radiation. Pero pag umaga, it reflects you. Okay? Nagre-reflect siya. Alright? So, those are one of the issues. I will show you I'll turn on the video. Guys, welcome. Andito ko sa isang account. Imagine my room. Okay lang to ngayon kasi shadow. I am facing that wall. Imagine that one. I'm facing that wall. So, actually by 9 a.m., ang init-init na. So, sa kabila side sana yung solar radiation, but this 3D object, okay, affects my thermal comfort because it reflects the solar radiation. Imagine that big wall. Okay? Well, somewhat it helps me because nagiging alarm clock siya. So, ayan. So, let me go back. Ayan. So, even 3D objects will affect the site climate. Okay, what if nakaning ato on three sides? Ang mga kapitbahay mo kay mayayaman nag 2 to 3 story. Ikaw naka 1 story ka lang. Imo tanang reflection. Di ba? What if naka-inside lot ka? Do you know what, I mean interior lot. You know what interior lot is? All the sides, most of the sides are may lupa. Instead of 3 sides, common 3 sides lang. Tapos, ang lataas ng building. Okay? Actually, akala mo lang may shadow ka, pero yung reflection ng radiation, sa'yo lahat. It's like being funneled into you. Okay? So, yan. So, aside from that, this one, pag paved area na nasakto ka talaga, by sa screen share, paved area plus surface ng building, okay? Yan. Grabe ka init ang naadiha. Affects the airflow. Instead of, ito siya na mo portion, ay mali. What am I doing? Ito siya na portion. Ay, yan. Ba't ayaw?
Text attempt na butang, sir. Kanang isa, sir.
Okay, ito na lang. At this portion right here, kung makita ninyo, mainit dyan kasi ground level, mainit. Building, mainit. Okay? So instead of yung hangin sana would pass through the building, it will rise up na lang. Dahil sa init. Okay? Isa yan siya. Now, with this one, we have microclimatic control around the building so that ito siya, ma-address natin siya. Okay? Some of the microclimatic controls, ang purpose is to control the conditions in terms of sun and wind. Later or next meeting, we will be discussing this one. Ano yung controls that we could address and also assist the buildings in the performance by ameliorating the outer conditions adjacent to the building. So, technically, ito na yung concepts of tropical design. An example would be vegetations, okay, yung trees, shrubs, and so on. We also have fences, screens, pergolas, shade structures. So, kasama yan siya. So, you can, the catch lang is, you don't just put trees, you don't just put shades, and so on. You need to balance out the shading and the allowing of air. Yun yung pinaka-catch in terms of simple tropical design. Yung micro design natin. Okay? I took 13 minutes of your time, guys. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? I will address that right away. Guys, questions? Ha? Wala na, guys. People, if you have questions, please chat me on the text channel. Tapos, para makita din ng ibang kaklase nyo ano yung tanong. Okay? Baka pala, ang tanong ni Gio, yung ding tanong tawag na to? Ni Vince, ganun. Tapos sinahiya lang si Vince or parang nawala lang sa utak, tama, tanong ko pala yun, ganun. Okay? So please, just type in questions.
Sir.
Sir, pwede po explain ulit ng rain shadow. So, ang rain shadow kasi, it is when a large mass, usually a hill or so on, would create would help na yung rain hindi aabot on the other side. Kaya so we call it the rain shadow. Andito yung rain.
So one
Supposedly,
side lang ang maulanan, sir.
one side lang yung maulanan. Because doon sa hill. That's why I call the rain shadow. So ito yung naulanan, yung kabila wala. Because of the movement ng air, pag-rise up ng warm air, and so on. So microclimatic conditions yun siya. Pero ako, I seldomly consider rain shadow when nag-design ng house on a hill. Okay? Pero part yun siya na it would affect you. Na if ever may magdating na scenario na parang napod may katingalahan before high school, we have a kumbaga hindi siya retreat house pero parang rest house ng classmate namin. Pero matingala may na ilahalang yung balay ang ginaulan permente. It was because of the katabatic wind pala. Medyo valley form siya doon sa Marilog. Tapos na dito nag-rise up ang hot air. Kaya pag inuulan, doon lang na portion. And it end up na maganda din yung agriculture on that side. Kaya doon sila naglagay ng bahay. Yun lang yung point kaya sila naglagay ng bahay. Pero later, nung nakatira na sila doon, hinahinay sila ko, sige doon, diriram ginaulan niya. Ang katong pikas nga silingan na mo, sige mag-ingon na, migulan diri. Pero katong silingan nila is, like the other bungtod, dili tong silingan na kapitbahay yun. The closest neighbor nila is on the kumbaga makita good. Usually makita mo yung bahay nila, hindi kayo magkarinigan. Tapos pag mag-abot sila sa tindahan, sa merkado, ano lang na lagi parting ulan na lagi mag-anak na siya. Si ulan good, ulan. Nga ba? Pero to think ka, silingan na sila. Ganon. Okay? Some more questions?
Sir, synchronous ito to. Next.
Sir, saan nga advisable allocate ang house sa hill? In terms of design and effect niya sa sustainability doon sa topography, the vegetation ng hill, best located siya on the lower third of the hill. Okay? Lower third of the hill. Later, when we design it sa tropical design, I will discuss that bakit andito siya na portions. Okay? Alright. More questions, guys? Guys, when you pass through the PDF I gave you and na hindi klaro, just leave me a message here and I will check on you, okay?
Sir.
Alright. Okay, guys. So if there's none, I took na time ninyo masyado. You have a 2:30 class, you need to prepare. Guys, thank you very much. I hope to see you next meeting. We will just have a 4 synchronous class muna. And then the rest is case analysis na talaga. Technically, I will just punch in everything there and let you do the rest. Pero I will assist you pa rin through synchronous or pag kailangan talaga may synchronous na session, okay, sige, we'll schedule. But I'll let you out na, sir, ito, nakita ko to from this page na ito yung magandang gawin and so on. Okay? So guys, this is our first one of the 4 synchronous sessions. Okay? Para doon sa mga nagkakaproblema in terms of having this synchronous sessions, we'll just be having 4. At least 4. I'll try my very best to have this 4. Okay? And then you can contact me anytime. Okay, guys, thank you. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye.